Shooper Nova, which is a great name for a game by the way, is a mashup of a top-down arena shooter and an action roguelike because it is a really cool circular fortress defend 'em up where you play as a core in the centre of the screen with a smiley face and a fortress wall that can be built with various different components and parts, and they all become your weapons. And depending on whether you've got turrets or missiles or meteors or satellites flying around, you then trigger them or rotate around your wall to then defend by shooting all of the different types of enemies coming towards you. Shooper Nova is a roguelite, so that means that you'll have lots of New Game Pluses, 0 through to 10, and every time you unlock a New Game Plus level, you'll unlock a new special ability that you can then choose to add on to your loadout and give you more variety and choice the more you play. The game also forces a mutator every single time you play a run too, and that will lean slightly into some of the choices that you'll make in between waves when you're buying different components or parts or upgrading your central core with lots of different stats. There's several different types of weapons that you can choose from. You've got basic guns for your firepower, and that's one class. You've also got explosive cannons, for example, that will then trigger area of effect explosions as you go along. And then there are what I'll call satellites, and these are like meteors that will fly around, and quite often they've got status effect ailments to them, like making someone icy and slow, or triggering some lightning chains, or maybe burning an enemy, for example. And these can be very helpful because they cause area of effect damage as they fly around, but they can also collide with others and cause damage that way too. However, you don't have full control over them, and so I found that I would gravitate more towards the firepower and explosive bombs and bazooka style weapons more often sometimes, because I could then rotate it all around and pick up and drop all of the different segments of my fortress wall that surrounded my core to how I wanted to see fit. And there's definitely a little puzzle element to Shooper Nova too, because quite a lot of the different weapons and additional components that you can unlock to strengthen your fortress wall revolve around you either leaning into a synergy of certain types of weapons, so maybe having several firepower or several satellites, or maybe several that are all lightning or ice based, for example, will be helpful. But you can also have it so that you can unlock, say, damage components or attack speed buff components, and then you'll slot those in between maybe some of the ones where they've got the most damage, or they might be the slower to reload, for example, and therefore you're thinking, right, I can try and speed up how quickly and efficiently my fortress wall can defend by dropping in all of these different components in different places. The shop is really, really interesting because you'll have various different types of weapons that will unlock over time and lots of different buffs. And what you can do to upgrade your weapons 1 through 4 in terms of levels is to drop 2 level 1s together to then combine them to become a level 2. Then you'll need to get 2 1s together to make another 2 to then add that to your other 2 to make that a level 3. And because you've only got a certain amount of room on your fortress, you've got like a little shop bay that you can put these components into. And sometimes leaving stuff in storage acts as a buff too. And so there's so many different permutations and ways to consider building out your fortress wall. It's what kept me coming back time and time and time again. And although I found myself gravitating quite often towards the lightning gun because of the chain effect of how it would ripple out and cause damage across lots of different enemies all at once, particularly when they started to kind of zoom up and dive bomb me en masse, I found that very helpful. There's lots of other things that you can consider or have other different permutations or ways to play, and that's really what kept me coming back over and over again with Shooper Nova. It's fast, it's reactive, there's lots of strategy involved, and whilst it is roguelite in the way how you can unlock and give yourself a little bit more of support at the beginning, you can't do it to the point where you can outrun and spend your skill. There's still skill involved. You're still going to have some really quick reactions as you spin around your fortress to try and capture everything. And quite a lot of the weapons require like manual triggers, for example, or pointing in a certain direction to have like the death ray come across the screen and wipe out tons of enemies. And so this isn't a passive experience. This is a real true merger of a top-down arena shooter and an action roguelite. And I think what this does is solve the problem of feeling too passive in an action roguelite and just watching waves of enemies get killed. Whereas here I've got that real merger of feeling involved in the strategy and the gameplay, whilst also getting that satisfaction of seeing like hundreds of enemies get blasted to existence or out of existence from my smiley but ultimately very deadly fortress. Shooper Nova for me is an absolute hit, and I'd recommend it to go and grab it right now.